Welcome to the debate. I'm your host, Sana Maqbool, with you at PTV World. In today's show, of course, we're going to be taking a look at the 48th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the OIC countries that is taking place in Islamabad today and tomorrow. The OIC session has kick-started today. There have been important keynote addresses by Prime Minister Imran Khan, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi, and the OIC Secretary General as well, along with other important stakeholders in this session. Of course, a lot of issues have been discussed and pointed out in terms of what needs to be done with regards to Muslim countries actually standing up and making concerted efforts around the theme for this session, which is building partnerships for justice, development and peace. This, of course, is an important initiative that has been taken by Pakistan, and it comes after Pakistan has also succeeded in the UN General Assembly adopting 15th of March as the Universal Day Against Islamophobia, a major development with regards to Prime Minister Imran Khan's efforts, and of course that is something that is important to all of the Muslim countries as well. Along with issues of Islamophobia, there are other many issues that are going to be under discussion as well, with particular reference to issues such as Kashmir and Palestine and other areas of the countries and the world where we see a lot of the Muslim population suffering at the hands of atrocities and human rights violations. Pakistan, of course, has been making a lot of efforts in making sure that all of these issues are highlighted, especially the Kashmir issue on various platforms. But what needs to be done with regards to the Kashmir issue, the Palestine issue and other such issues is what is going to be under discussion, and we hope to see some concerted efforts coming out from this session and a lot of the resolutions that have been tabled. We also hope to see more than just resolutions and discussions and mere stances coming out of this session, and with regards to actual action, we hope to see some change brought about by this session and the OIC countries and their efforts. Also, Afghanistan would be another important aspect that is going to be under discussion. So all of these are something that we're going to look at today in our show, along with, of course, our guests and experts and their opinions. As always, with me in the studio is Farrukh Pitafi and Raja Faisal. As always, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with me today. And of course, we've been joined online by two very important guests. Our first guest is Ambassador Retired Mr. Tariq Usman Haider. He is also the coordinator of the last OIC Foreign Ministers meeting in Islamabad back in 2007 when the OIC Charter was revised. Thank you very much, Mr. Tariq, for being with us today. We've also been joined by Dr. Zulfikar Kazmi, who's a foreign affairs expert. Thank you very much, Dr. Zulfikar, for being with us in the show today. I'll start with you, Ambassador Saab. When we talk about this very important session, it is the time of this session is, of course, very important as well. The way things are evolving in the world with reference to the issue of Afghanistan, Islamophobia is obviously prevalent in large areas of the world. And then, of course, we have issues around the world where serious conflict has been taking place for such a long time, and the Muslim population continues to suffer there. And when we talk about a body which is made from such important Muslim countries, and it's the world's very important body with reference to Islamic countries coming together, we of course expect a lot of efforts and change with regards to human and Muslim suffering. When we talk about all of these issues, how important would you say this particular session is with regards to the foreign ministers actually sitting down and talking about all of these issues?
Yes.
Ambassador Sahab, can you hear us?
This is an extremely important conference because, as you know, since the very beginning of its foundation, and in fact from the beginning of Pakistan, trying to get unity amongst the Muslim countries for protecting Muslim people, defending them and their causes, and for using them, making sure they're a force for peace and conflict resolution and development in the world have been very important. And at this particular time, when there's a very volatile situation on our own borders in India, Kashmiris are being subject to extreme oppression. A number of 2 human rights reports on that have just been issued, which the conference will debate. And then Afghanistan, despite the end of the war there, people are starving, the children are doing very badly, and they are at great economic deprivation. So it is really a crisis for everybody, moral conscience, and for Pakistan, because we are right next door to them, and we have such ties of kith and kin with them. Then throughout the Middle East, Palestine, which remains a burning problem, which is the reason for making the OIC remains unfulfilled, and their self-determination, like for the Kashmiri people. And in the Middle East, there's a lot of turmoil as to how these things can be resolved and how the Arab countries and we in their support can help resolve this. And then right now, as you can see in Ukraine, a war is raging, which is in the interest of all the Islamic states to try to give whatever influence they have, little or more, to try to give their voice for its peaceful resolution. And because of Ukraine, you can see all the fault lines between the Western world, the Eastern world, with blocks coming up, the Quad and other combinations which are directed against China. Then there are Russia, which is in Ukraine. There's NATO, which is another military bloc, and then the EU, which is very powerful, and the area which is, of course, very friendly with, as with all the protagonists. So it's a very volatile situation, and therefore having the EU at this, having the OIC at this stage to discuss these matters and how we can impact them is very important.
Right, of course. And this is very important. The how aspect is one of the most important that we need to discuss. Dr. Zulfikar, when we talk about all of these issues that Ambassador Saab was also pointing out, they've been there for long, and it continues to happen. And with regards to, of course, issues which are currently developing as well, such as the Ukrainian crisis as well, we understand that Prime Minister Imran Khan also pointed out something in his keynote address, talking about and urging the countries as part of the OIC not to go for bloc politics and instead look at the issues of the Muslim Ummah in general and the countries that they can actually help. But when we talk about the OIC and the aspect of how exactly can the OIC countries help in all of these conflicts, what exactly can the OIC really do? Because we've seen the moral and diplomatic support come in, we've seen the statements come in, there have always been pledges, but what can they actually do?
Are you addressing me or
Dr. Zulfikar? Dr. Zulfikar, can you hear me? Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sana, for having me. And definitely, this conference is taking place at a very critical time and very difficult time when we see some wars in some areas, and how Muslim world could react. President has and the Prime Minister has represented the 2/3 of Muslims in this conference. He made a strong advocacy for Muslim world, what Muslim world should do, because Muslim world and Muslim countries are not, focusing those problems and those issues which are very important. And the Prime Minister has drawn the attention of entire Muslim world, because Muslim world need to get more education, need to get more institutions, need to get more awareness, and he has focused the social media. It's fantastic, but who has brought the social media? It's the Western world. So we have to think about that, what Muslims have produced to the world. So it's very important that Muslims should think about that how they could be more interactive through their own tools. And own tools are educational tools. They should build the universities, they should build institutions, and they should definitely, Islamophobia is a big issue. And Pakistan has taken a lead to, give understanding that Muslims have nothing to do with this, terrorism or something, because Muslims have been labeled from last many years with the terrorism. It's very pathetic, And,
Dr. Kazmi, what you said was very intriguing, particularly regarding education and institution building. Let me ask you, at this moment, while you're advocating, particularly you spoke about social media, what is important, merely education or innovation as well? Because at this moment it seems that when it comes to business community, the Muslims don't seem to have that kind of voice either.
Indeed, I think that these are the points which were never raised before in any conferences, And these are very important aspects of this world, because we cannot separate from other world. We cannot separate from the Western world. But Western world have an idea about the Muslims. We should think about that, how we could eliminate those ideas and how we could eliminate those wrong perceptions. But other worlds have. but definitely they have it because Muslims have nothing to do, in their hands to interact with the Western society, and they are not offering anything. So this is very important because Muslim countries are very resourceful. They have many things. They have nothing to mention about the resources, because they have everything, but they don't have it. And what Prime Minister have focused that needs to bring the leadership.
And that, of course, is an important aspect. Yes, Faisal.
Yeah. Ambassador Tariq, I just wanted to ask, if I was there, and of course I went through the speech of Prime Minister. Prime Minister clearly highlighted that we have actually, were working together, but we did not do much service to the people of Kashmir and people of Palestine. And he highlighted a particular point in which he said that of course we all have our own foreign policy preferences, and that is why there are hindrances. Do you think that he is right about it, and the countries that are having them hindrances, how can they address on the platform of OIC?
Yes, it's very important, as you have mentioned about the Kashmir.
Ambassador Tariq.
Okay.
Yes. Well, the Prime Minister is right. On Kashmir, we haven't got the amount of support that the Kashmiri people need for their self-determination. And there are certain countries which are supporting us totally. There are some which are a little bit reticent and some which are sort of quiet on this matter. But I think there are two issues here. When we have these meetings, we are able to expose to them the reality of the problem. But this does not absolve us from two things. One is this effort has to be not just at these meetings, foreign minister or the summit meeting. We have to mount an effort all the time. We are trying to do that diplomatically, but now we have to do it on social media. For instance, in every Western country where you have Pakistanis, if not Muslims, at least Pakistanis, there should be some mechanism where they're guided to write to every member of parliament, every parliamentary member of European Parliament, etc. So there are many modalities that we should be doing. And the other thing is, the fact is, if we are strong, then not only other Muslim countries, but in India, I mean, if we are stronger, they will look up to us and be more amenable to supporting us on this issue. I mean, we need an economy which we develop. We need a military which is resting on the economy also. And while the Muslim countries look up to us for our economic and military power, it is not.
Ambassador Sahab, you're absolutely spot on when you talk about modalities. First of all, I think the state of Pakistan, government of Pakistan needs to be complimented because it actually managed to host two big meetings of this sort, not one within months.
Yeah.
But event management is one thing. Now we are talking about OIC and its charter and its structure. Do you think that modalities can be improved? Because, of course, Pakistan can become a strong country. There must be others which are strong, but it is a collective of 57 countries, sir. Not every state will be as strong. So there needs to be a strong bureaucracy, and perhaps a career diplomat like your good self can tell us what needs to be done to actually strengthen their procedures and their mechanisms, sir.
Well, I'll get back to one thing, as you also mentioned, education, etc., and anti-terrorism, educating people, anti-radicalism. Frankly, the two things, let's look at it our own country first, that we have to do is to improve education from the primary, secondary level upward, not just the university level, and we have to improve our infrastructure. But once we do that, then once we are doing that in parallel with the Muslim countries, we need to establish both people-to-people contact. We need to have better business concerns with them, interchange of trade, which is very, very low. It's only 7% of global trade is between Muslim countries. Or the trade of Muslim countries abroad with each other is only 7 or 8%, which is very low, apart from oil. And we have to be in the OIC headquarters. We have to continue to be active. and our embassies, which are already very active abroad, have to redouble their efforts abroad. I mean, we have to also remind all the Muslim countries how much we have done for them on various causes. When Pakistan was founded, Quaid-e-Azam sent out teams everywhere to uh, drum up support for the formation of Pakistan, and we promised the Muslim people that we will support their struggle against colonization. We did that in Egypt, we did that in Palestine, most in Palestine, we did that in the Maghreb countries. All their leaders were given shelter in Pakistan from the Maghreb countries. They went to the UN Security Council to the surprise of the French, who would label them as terrorists under Pakistani passports.
Right.
And
And this, of course, is just a very important aspect that you've also highlighted and talked about, because these are the real measures that can be taken to strengthen the body as a whole, which probably is going to enhance the capacity that it can provide in terms of actually addressing the conflicts. But is the will there, Dr. Zulfikar, when we talk about these issues? Of course, we need all of the countries to be on the same page, perhaps even on this issue, that they want to be able to utilize the OIC as a body which needs to be enhanced or strengthened. Do we even have that baseline for all of the OIC countries to actually work together? Because it's one thing to be part of this body, of course, and to have representation, but it's another to actually work in tandem.
Thank you very much. Sana, there is a distortion in voice, and I'm not hearing properly, but I got what you are trying to ask me. Basically, during this conference, what they have to focus that how they could build relationship between West and East, and how they could be, delivering better message of Islam to others, message of peace and development to others, because Muslims have been labeled with the terrorism. And when we see in our neighbor, Afghanistan issue in Western perspective and American perspective, they think it's over. No, it's not over. When there is a poverty, when people are suffering, when there is a hunger, what it means, what they will be giving to the world. They will not be, having better citizenship. And who will be the, bearing all those things? That's Pakistan, because Pakistan is a neighboring country. So what Prime Minister has said, that Afghanistan must have peace, must have development, must have, prosperity, because they think that Afghanistan peace and development prosperity is connected with the Muslim world, not only the Muslim world, but to the Pakistan. Pakistan needed. So I think that OIC should think about that, what they could bring new to this world.
Absolutely right. Thank you so much, Dr. Zulfikar Kazmi, for being with us in the debate and being a part of the discussion. Thank you very much. We've also been joined by Fahim Al-Hamid, who's a Saudi journalist, and he's going to be joining us on the debate on telephone line, talking about, of course, this OIC session of the foreign ministers of the OIC countries, and the kind of input that we can get from different countries as part of this body, particularly, of course, Saudi Arabia as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Fahim, for joining us. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you very much.
Right. With reference to the OIC session of foreign ministers that is being held in Pakistan today and tomorrow, of course, a large part of this session is going to depend upon how countries such as yours are going to contribute in terms of all of the issues that are being discussed. And the important ones, of course, are with reference to Afghanistan, Islamophobia, Kashmir, and Palestine, and many such other instances where we want support of different Islamic countries. What is the Saudi Arabia stance with reference to these issues, and how much and in what terms can we expect support from Saudi Arabia with regards to these issues?
Well, thank you once again for having me with you in this with this prestigious guest. In fact, Saudi Arabia's stand has been explained by our foreign minister in his speech. Saudi Arabia, as they are the host of OIC headquarters, since the establishment of OIC, Saudi Arabia was in the front line to defend the Muslim Ummah causes, especially Al-Quds and Palestine and Afghanistan, Kashmir, and other issues. So our government input in this conference is very high. Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, they are a strategic partner. They are working together to enhance, the the collaboration among Muslim states, and they are working together with all OIC members to bring about peace, security in the region. One thing. The other thing, it is very important meeting because the geopolitical scenario in the world has taken different shape. Yes, our main issue is Palestine. Very much yes, Al-Quds is our main cause. Other issues like Kashmir, Afghanistan, they are very, very important. But, there is a major conflict happening in this world, and there is a new world order coming as a result of the Ukrainian war. So I think this will be a good chance to further enhance our thought.
Right, but Mr. Fahim, my question with reference to the kind of action or support that we can expect from Saudi Arabia with regards to these issues still remains. Let's talk about Kashmir, for example. What sort of support can we expect from Saudi Arabia?
I mean, nobody can discredit or underestimate Saudi Arabia's action towards enhancing the Muslim Ummah causes. Saudi Arabia was in the front line every time. Even those countries who have betrayed Saudi Arabia do not give them any cold shoulder. With regards to Kashmir, you know that Saudi Arabia support the Kashmiri cause, and they are behind all resolution which has been taken by on the level of summit of Islamic meeting, in the level of foreign ministers, and you will see today that there will be a consensus among all issues, especially Kashmir. Whatever the whole country will decide about the Kashmir, Saudi Arabia will be with them. Saudi Arabia always with the just causes of
Mr.
Muslim
Fahim, Mr. Fahim, if we look at the theme of obviously today's 48th session, it's at unity, justice, and development. If we talk about the unity, Prime Minister of Pakistan highlighted that the biggest hurdle for all of the problems to be solved faced by the Muslims is the unity. When it comes to unity, maybe Ummah is not united to an extent that it can be helpful towards it. I just wanted to know, Pakistan has been since since Imran Khan took the office, the initiatives of mediation, they were taken by the current government, and still Pakistan is willing to do it. Can we expect that two major countries of the Gulf, obviously Saudi Arabia and Iran, and we know it very well that in past, Prime Minister Imran Khan, he's been willing to, mediate, get both of the parties on the table so that they can negotiate. And knowing the fact that Imran Khan keeps on highlighting this, that we are, always there for peace, but not for the conflict. Can we expect from both of the countries that this time around, in coming future, we can see both of the parties sitting together and resolve all of the problems within them?
Thank you for asking very, very important question. Let me explain the philosophy of unity. The unity of Muslim Ummah, which the Honorable Prime Minister has spoken today. In fact, it is the stand of Pakistan. It's not a new stand, because Pakistan, since its establishment, they were a very much strong supporter of Muslim Ummah unity. And let me recall the Islamic summit which held in Lahore, and the Shaheed King Faisal, along with the Prime Minister Zulfikar, the late, and other leaders. It was the cornerstone of the Muslim Ummah unity.
And King Faisal.
I think I have answered the question of unity.
All right, please stay with us, Mr. Fahim. Let me also welcome in the show Mr. Masood Khalid, who's a former ambassador to China. Thank you very much, Mr. Masood, for joining us in the debate today. Let me start off by asking you the importance of the Chinese foreign minister also being part of this conference. Is it merely symbolic, or do you think it will add more value than just that?
Well, thank you very much. I think it is symbolic as well as substantive. This is for the first time that a Chinese foreign minister is attending the OIC meeting at the ministerial level. And of course, it is important because, first of all, given the bilateral relationship, close bilateral relationship between Pakistan and China, of course, it is important in that context. Secondly, Pakistan is sort of playing, the role of a bridge maker between China and the Islamic countries, and China's own relations with Muslim countries are extremely important and are growing. China's relations with Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Iraq, extremely important. China is dependent on energy supplies from these countries, and I think Saudi Arabia is their largest supplier of oil. So, and a lot of developments are taking place in the Middle East, and in the context of Afghanistan, also Arab countries, Middle Eastern countries have a role, a supportive role, a positive role. So I think, given this backdrop, I think his visit to Pakistan is important. China is an important country, an emerging power, and Pakistan's neighbor, an important strategic partner of Pakistan. So, an expression of solidarity for Pakistan, an expression of solidarity with the OIC community by China, and a good diplomatic move by Pakistan to invite the Chinese foreign minister. Other than the bilateral component of the visit, of course, which has been discussed between the two foreign ministers yesterday, and I think he called on the Prime Minister also today. So I think it is quite important.
All right. Farrukh, I believe you had a question.
Right. Since earlier we were talking to Fahim Saab, Brother Fahim, here's a question for you. Your country has been coming under fire from Houthi, rebels in Yemen. At this moment, the situation continues that way. What can OIC do actually to help in that context?
Well, thank you very much, Brother Farrukh. But there was a very important question asked to me, the second part of the how can Iran and Saudi Arabia sit together in one table? So do you want me to answer that question or I jump? Because, there is 5 sessions already took place between the two countries. And Saudi Arabia has
my question was about a third country that you didn't mention. Yemen is next to your country, right? It is adjacent, and there is a violence going on.
He asked about the dialogue between Saudi Arabia and Iran and mediation by the Prime Minister. Do you want me to ask that question or move to Al-Houthi?
Right. I think you can mull over that and we can move on to another guest. I have another question for Ambassador Saab, Ambassador Tariq. Sir, earlier we were talking about the need for innovation and education, and that becomes a huge issue because I remember after 9/11, there was an Arab development report, and that was essentially about capacity building of the Muslim world. And it actually pointed out that there were 3 deficits that Muslim actually face. 1, freedom. 2nd, knowledge. 3rd, women empowerment. Do you think that these deficits can be actually taken care of by OIC and the result that actually is produced through this meeting, sir?
Well, I think there's some things like women development which are very, very important because women are more than half the population of the world and of Pakistan, of Muslim countries, and therefore, but this tends to be basically a national thing for the OIC. They can certainly encourage that more women are in leadership roles. There's more education for women. There's more schemes to make sure that women, girls don't drop out of school. But essentially, in these matters, it is the basic, well, for instance, let's say on the innovation and scientific side, Pakistan is a leader in now is becoming even more important nuclear technology when we're facing energy shortage. We have some of the best universities, we have some of the best workers, teachers on nuclear matters, we have the best technicians in the Muslim world to make nuclear reactors for peaceful uses. But why doesn't the OIC encourage more that this is a center of excellence, that more OIC countries send their students there to study about nuclear technology, to train about nuclear technology, technicians on nuclear technology, on nuclear safety, on nuclear management and construction. I think this is something Pakistan can certainly provide to these countries. We have to be less reticent about it, and the Muslim countries, the OIC should encourage that. And I know in Pakistan, we have a number of officers in the Foreign Service who have been developing, who have also served in the OIC technological side, who have been developing science and peaceful uses of nuclear energy, social projection on that. And I think they have very good ideas in this, and I think the OIC has to carry those ideas forward and make them OIC wide. So that is one area, because obviously one can't talk about every area, but that is one area that we can provide a center of excellence.
Ambassador Masood, I want to come towards you, sir. Talking about development, of course, majority of the Muslim world, of course, it's either underdeveloped or it is a developing world. And today, going through all of the speeches, it seems like everyone is concerned about Ukraine crisis right now. And going through, obviously, speech of Chinese foreign minister, there too, there were concerns about it. And all of them, they agreed on something that was that the resolve should be achieved peacefully and through the talks. And could we say that today, at the end, there will be a sort of, a joint statement from China and OIC as an organization for, both the parties, Ukraine as well as Russia, to sit on the table and talk about peace? Could we say that it will be coming today? And if it does, how important would it be?
Well, I wouldn't like to comment. I'll let Khalid.
Ambassador Masood.
Okay. Thank you very much. No, I think I am not sure what kind of document or an outcome will be adopted as far as the Ukraine crisis is concerned. China is an important partner of the Russian Federation, and China has close ties. In fact, in recent years, these ties have grown exponentially between Russia and China. And China has equally very good, close economic relations with EU and also with Ukraine. So I think China is in a position to exert its positive influence on Russia to seek a solution. And I'm sure behind the scenes, some diplomatic efforts must be going on. But from the platform of OIC, China, in concert with some OIC countries or with the entire community of OIC, would be able to lend a helping hand to resolve this Ukraine crisis. I'm not quite sure about that.
Right, Ambassador, sir, let me qualify this question a bit further, because yesterday you must have seen the Chinese statement about Pakistan and China being concerned about the consequences of sanctions on Russia. Yeah. Together, Ukraine and Russia produce a lot of world grain and other, food items. And the problem is that a lot of Muslim countries, particularly in Africa, will suffer because of this war and perhaps also these sanctions. So is it not important for OIC to also have a voice in these matters? And together with China, perhaps it can be a more powerful voice that has an impact, because there are consumers or end consumers as well, sir.
Thank you.
May I just add a few things to my colleague Ambassador Masood Khan, who's the expert on China, having been ambassador there also many years. I think as far as I can remember, there is no precedent for a joint communique. The joint communiques of the OIC are the OIC, 57 OIC countries. So I haven't seen any joint, it could be some kind of press statement or something, but a joint communique with a third country outside the OIC I haven't seen. In any case, China is very much involved and has been saying that they want a peaceful resolution of this matter as soon as possible. They said that to Russia. They said it to Ukraine. And I think also for the OIC, while it's good that we exert our influence for peace and security, but I mean, the OIC countries we are not protagonists in this. We are not the EU, we're not NATO, we're not Russia. We have somewhat limited influence. I don't think we should try to overstretch this point, and we should try to focus on the issues which are important to us. This is also important. We have to declare our position, but this is not our primary matter for Muslim countries now or going forward. And I think the Chinese themselves are very much involved in trying to bring
All right.
peace to this.
Mr. Fahim, let me come to you and talk to you about the issue of Afghanistan, something that was also under discussion the last time the OIC sat down as well in Pakistan. And we understand that there was an important development with regards to a trust fund that was established for humanitarian support in Afghanistan. Can you help us and inform us with reference to Saudi Arabia's contribution to that fund? What has been done with regards to that fund? And if there has been a contribution, how much is it, and how do we ensure that it actually did trickle down to the people who needed it?
Well, let me clarify that Saudi Arabia, even during Taliban regime, there was humanitarian material was delivering to the Afghanistani people. When Pakistan held an emergency meeting in Islamabad, I believe, because 2 months Saudi Arabia participated, and they were very much, enthusiastic to support this fund. And I am not sure, because my memory, but there is a certain package has been announced, and immediately the other day, our airplane landed in Kabul with huge materials to help the Afghanistani people.
Right, but with reference to the mechanism that the OIC actually established with the help of the IDB, perhaps that has not really materialized?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, because that is the work and the duty of OIC Secretariat with the host, with the country, for instance, Pakistan, because that was held in Pakistan and should be a mechanism for that.
Let me just come to Masood Saab with the same question as well, and we'll come back to Mr. Fahim. I want to understand this because this was an important development with reference to a tangible action being taken to actually help the people of Afghanistan, and it's come from the OIC platform. And this mechanism was an important one because there was a lot of discussion with reference to how to actually help or provide aid to the people of Afghanistan. Has this mechanism actually died down, or do you think that this is something that the OIC is continuing and moving forward with?
And Ambassador Saab, if I can add in, today I was going through the speech of obviously President of Islamic Development Bank, and he said that the money would be spent on certain things which are related to women education and all of these. So could we say that there are obviously, sort of conditions to the spending?
Yeah, but how much money has been collected
Yes.
in the trust fund? That is most
What's the
important.
status of that fund?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this issue is being
Right,
dealt
Mr.
by
Fahim,
the
I'll come to you since you've already answered this. Let me ask the same question to Mr. Masood.
Yes, as far as my information goes, I think the setting up of the trust fund has to be followed up by the special representative or special envoy of OIC on Afghanistan. He is the one who is going to liaise and coordinate with all the concerned, quarters. I mean, including the Islamic Development Bank and the governments of OIC countries. So I think this is no specific pledge has been made so far, or if it has been, I think we are not sure how much is that. But I think from now on, because the trust fund has been operationalized, and I think they will go ahead and follow it up through the OIC representative of Afghanistan. This is my understanding. Now, just a brief word on the Ukraine thing. I think this is in the collective interest of OIC, collective interest of the global community, that this issue, this crisis is resolved as soon as possible because of its consequences and the negative impact on the global economy, on regional economies in terms of oil price rise, the supplies of grains. Ukraine and Russia, I think they are suppliers of grains to the extent of 25% of the global requirements, as well as disruption, in global supply chains, regional supply chains. And we are discussing with Russia, this pipeline project, and Russia is now under sanctions. So for us, the immediate concern is that this mega project is also going to be impacted by those sanctions. So I think it is in the collective interest, and whatever influence OIC countries individually or multilaterally can exert on the parties for peace, I think that will be good.
That will be great. Ambassador Masood Khalid, let me take you back to the trust fund issue, because you are right regarding pledges that were made or not made. I saw at least one pledge made by a country called Nigeria, and that was impressive, but I haven't seen any other country coming forward and pledging anything. At this moment, we understand that Afghanistan's economic problems are twofold. One is a humanitarian crisis, the other one is the crisis of their banking system and currency. And it seemed at that time when this trust fund was created that basically it is going to not only take care of the humanitarian aspect but stabilize the economy of Afghanistan as well. Now, are you saying that at this moment we are perhaps going to focus only on humanitarian aspects and not the stabilization of economies?
Yes, there are certain issues, certain problems and difficulties in this process. But I think my reading is that the countries, OIC countries, were waiting for the operationalization of this fund, which has been done yesterday. And now I think the modalities have to be worked out. Of course, some modalities have to be worked out in circumventing or overcoming these problems which have been imposed due to US sanctions and the freezing of the Afghan assets. So, but I think focus will be, you are right, on meeting the immediate humanitarian needs of the Afghan people. And once those needs are met.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Masood Khalid, for joining us. And also thank you, Ambassador Tariq Usman Haider and Fahim Al-Hamid, for being part of the debate today. And of course, the discussion with reference to the 48th session of the foreign ministers of the OIC countries that is being held today and tomorrow. We will be continuing the discussion at 10 p.m. again, and special transmission all around at PTV World still continues. So keep watching and stay tuned.